My first impression of these shoes was actually slightly underwhelming, but they're now my favorite hiking shoes ever. I've been using the Altra Experience Wild 3 Plus for the last few months, and I've clocked about 200 kilometers in them. They're an update on a fairly well-established platform. First launched to offer an introduction to ultra trail shoes, they have a 4mm drop rather than the standard zero drop shoes that they mostly offer, but with the same wide toe box shape and a combination of cushion and ground feel. I'd been wanting to try a pair of Ultras for a while, and this is what drew me to the Experience Wild 3 Pluses. First of all, let's have a look at the specs. They're fairly middle of the road in terms of price and weight, coming in at 295 grams per shoe in a men's size 9, and retailing for 280 AUD. With 4mm of drop, from 32mm at the heel to 28mm at the forefoot, they're designed to be an entry into the zero drop world that Ultra usually lives in. Although this middle ground seems to be gaining in popularity, with many brands launching shoes within this range. The midsole is a slightly bouncier Altra EGO P35 compared to the Experience Wild 2, and for the 3 Plus they've moved from an in-house outsole to Vibram Megagrip with 4mm Traction Lugs. The Experience Wild 3 Pluses come in a range of colours. I went with the white and green option, which as you can see is looking a little bit dirty, but all it would take is a bit of scrubbing up for these to come back to pretty much good as new. Another thing to note with the Ultras is they come with gaiter attachments for Ultra Zone gaiters, which are great for keeping out sticks and mud. There's quite a bit of padding through the tongue of the shoe, which at first I was a bit confused about, but it really helps to remove the lace feel, and I found it a super comfortable addition. All of this is to say that the new model is comfier, grippier, and longer lasting, without compromising on the ground feel that you've come to expect from Ultra shoes. These are described as moderate cushion, so they definitely dampen rough ground without feeling like you're in a foam pit. If you're used to a massive stack of cushy foam, then these will probably be a slightly bumpier ride, but I've found them a really nice middle ground, and my feet end each hike feeling surprisingly fresh. I found them to be true to size, going with my standard US 11, which fit me really well. So why was I initially underwhelmed? I think I expected them to instantly feel better or comfier, or just different from other shoes that I've used in the past to hike in. And they didn't really do that. They just felt comfortable, without feeling particularly responsive or exciting. As I used them more though, I began to realize that this is what's special about them. They feel so good that you barely notice them at all. I've had exactly zero discomfort in them, and I feel super stable and supported when I'm wearing them. The wide toe box feels great, allowing my feet to feel incredibly fresh at the end of a long day on trail, and creating easily the most stable platform I've ever experienced. The foam in the midsole is enough to cushion rough terrain, but still offer a ground feel that means that you know what's underfoot and can judge grip and balance accordingly. The new Vibram Megagrip sole is a reassuring choice. The previous sole received some criticism, so while I haven't tried it, going with a trusted sole by the likes of Vibram seems an obvious choice. The 4mm trail lugs seem like a sensible choice as well for this kind of shoe. I've found it super grippy on all the terrain I've used it on. While not designed for deep mud, I found that it really works well on sand, rock, regular trail dirt, and have only slipped out once due to poor foot placement on a wet log, which would have happened in just about any other shoes I've ever used. I've mostly hiked in these shoes, although I have done a few trail runs as well. Interestingly, while I still find them incredibly comfortable and stable, I found them somewhat unresponsive while running. They were still super grippy, they just didn't feel fast like other trail shoes I've run in. That bounce I've become used to on other shoes just wasn't there. But this isn't necessarily a negative. I did still feel fresher than I expected to after some 10-kilometer runs, which to be honest is about as far as I ever go. I often still choose them for a training run, but if you're after a race day bounce, then they might not be the perfect choice. In terms of durability, as I said, I've done about 200 kilometers in them, and I'm super impressed at how fresh the soles are looking. In terms of the durability of the upper, there's a couple of loose strands, but again, nothing really of note, and it definitely feels like a pretty durable material that should last at least as long as anything else on the shoe. I'm also impressed with the toe box protection. It's a pretty solid Vibram bumper on the front that's already come in handy when I would have stubbed my toe a few times. Overall, the Experience Wild 3 Plus has completely convinced me of the benefits of wide toe boxes, especially when using them for longer hikes and especially for long days back to back. Combined with the 4mm drop, they deliver a great blend of stability, comfort, and traction. I'd highly recommend these as a great option for anyone looking to dabble in the wider toe box space without committing to a zero drop shoe.